Yeah, 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 yeah.
Drug addicts.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? This is Nate. Welcome to the Paradigm Speaks edition of the Paradigm Show. Now, originally, the Paradigm Show was supposed to be done more so out in the community where we're actually meeting people and talking to people face to face on live in the actual area. But due to COVID 19 and certain social distancing laws, we decided to do things a little bit differently. With that being said, here we are. So let's get to it. This brings us to the title of today's episode of Paradigm Speaks, which is COVID-19 life, plain and simple. So before we get into it, I'm going to quote that I wrote for this episode. The quote is this: success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. So why do you think I started with that quote? Well, I'll tell you. COVID-19 or the coronavirus is a pandemic that has taken a great toll on how we live in the world we live in today in our society. Schools have been shut down, place businesses have been shut down, people have been laid off of work. It's just been one big mess. It's been one big shutdown. And a lot of people out here are really struggling with that and have had to deal with that challenge. But despite that challenge this pandemic has caused, we still need to be continuing to move forward and strive to be our best selves day in and day out. With that being said, I got 5 things that I'm gonna give to you real quick about things that we should have been doing during the whole quarantine situation, as well as 3 things that we still can do, even though the COVID-19 outbreak is still happening and things are starting to open back up. There's things that we can still do despite that. And here we go. The first thing that we should have been doing is reading. With everything that had happened with the shutdown, we've suddenly developed a little bit more time to do the things that we've always wanted to do that we could never really find the time to. Reading is one of those things. Even me, I even started getting back into reading. A couple of books that I read over the quarantine are The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida, as well as The Success Commandments by Devin Franklin. Those are 2 books I highly recommend that you get, especially The Success Commandments, because a lot of us are trying to get into entrepreneurship and trying to start businesses for ourselves. That book right there will definitely give you some tools and some tips to not only be successful in the world, but also be successful with your higher power. Now, why do I say we need to be reading? We should have been reading. Reading is something that stimulates the mind. It keeps us sharp. It allows us to learn new information as well as to be able to share that information with others. And we can speak, and when we speak to people, we can speak from a place of knowledge. Another thing we should have been doing is meditating. Meditating is something that is very relaxing. It reduces stress and it calms the mind. Many of us work in stressful environments. Many of us have to deal with many issues throughout the day, whether those be family issues, relationship issues, issues with our jobs, issues with school. And just taking that minute to just breathe and just meditate. Just close your eyes and just think about nothing else, but just think about what's going on and just calming yourself. That's something that can help you get through the day. It also helps enhance self-awareness and controls anxiety. Third thing that we could have been doing is exercising. Similar to meditation, it also is very relaxing. It helps you to calm down, helps you relieve stress. It helps improve emotional well-being. It boosts energy, and it helps with sleep. Many of us found ourselves in go mode, so we couldn't really find time to really rest ourselves, relax our minds, and relax our bodies. Exercising is something that gives the body energy, and meditating is something that will help keep that energy regulated to where you're calm and you're focused so you can get through the day. Another thing that we should have been doing during the COVID-19 outbreak is developing our hobbies and developing our passions. Many of us have great ideas. We either wanted to get into music, learn a new craft, start a business. This was the time that we could have been doing that because we had ample time. We didn't have too much going on. I understand many of us were trying to even find new jobs. So this was also a great way to invest in ways to find new ways to make money to support ourselves, which I'll get into later. With the COVID-19 outbreak and the quarantine and the shutdown, Like I said before, many of us were found in a place where we were just forced to stand still. And in a sense, a lot of times that standstill time is a lot of what we need sometimes, because many of us, myself included, find ourselves in that nonstop, stuck in the grind mentality. Like, for example, even with me, like earlier in the year before the coronavirus hit, I was doing a practicum for my master's program at IUPUI. And in some cases, certain days of the week, I was getting up at 6 in the morning and out the door by 6:30, and I wouldn't see my house again until 12:30 the next morning. Because right when I left my practicum at the school I was working at, I had to go straight to my job after that and deal with that, with the stress and the challenges and nuances in that environment. So I can definitely see the benefits, even in myself, where everything that shut down allowed me to breathe, allowed me to rest. It allowed me to channel my energy elsewhere into being more productive, into doing some of the things that I really wanted to do. And even now that things are starting to open back up, I have a better foundation, not only within myself, but within the goals that I want to reach, that are allowing me to push forward in my vision and what I want to do with my life. So with that being said, I want to now get into three things that we can still do despite the coronavirus, and things are starting to open back up now. So this is now the time to start to capitalize on those things. One of the things that we can be doing right now is building a business. Many of us have great business ideas, but yet we have yet to act on them. Why is that? This is the time right now. The reason why is because every 10 years, we hit some type of economic crisis. 10 years ago, the economic crisis was the economic recession, which was caused by the war in Iraq. Now it's the coronavirus or the COVID-19 outbreak that's caused a lot of things to shut down and cause a damper in the economy. For many entrepreneurs, this is the time to really make money. This is the time to really build that business that you were talking about. A good book to read in regards to that would be Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That's a book I would highly encourage you to get, because he even covers that in many cases. When businesses start to crash and the economy start to crash, that's the time to really think of ways to make money, because it will force you to think of ways to make money. Like I said before, many of us got laid off of work. Many of us are still currently unemployed to this day. And those ideas can be anything that you wanted to do, anything that you wanted to create, whether it's music, clothing lines, podcasting, YouTubing, whatever the case may be. This is the time to do that. You can still continue to educate yourself. Get that book that you want to talk about reading. David Eder, The Way of the Superior Man. That was a book that helped me out in terms of what I need to do, getting back focused on my purpose. Because in a sense, I tend to lose focus, and we all lose focus sometimes what we want to do with our lives, because we get so caught up in things that really serve us no purpose in the long run. And lastly, I'm going to say this. We also need to be connecting with others. While we're gaining knowledge, we also need to be trying to find ways to share that knowledge with others. I understand, many social distancing laws have been created to, keep us safe from the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're not really allowed to see people and visit people the way we want to, but we can be meeting through FaceTime, Skype, Zoom, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Snapchat, just to share knowledge and keep human contact. Even though the world has forced us to isolate ourselves with the pandemic, we don't still stay connected with others. Don't isolate yourself from others. So on that note, I conclude with a positive message to stay alert, stay focused, stay shifting, continue to build yourself, continue to build that brand, continue to build your mind, expand new horizons. And with that being said, this concludes the first episode of Paradigm Speaks. I'll talk to you soon.